So, where were you born?
I was born in Brooklyn.
And can you tell me about your great-great-grandfather?
My great-great-grandfather was born in the Azores, and he was kidnapped and brought back to America and thrown ashore out at Sag Harbor. And that's where the family decided to live and stay. They stayed in Sag Harbor till my great-grandfather died. My father was one of his sons, and he was the one that took us to Brooklyn to live. And we lived there in many places. It's a wonderful place. And now I'm back on Long Island in Manorville.
Can you tell me about Uncle Vince?
Uncle Vin?
Yeah.
Uncle Vin's people, oh, he was, yes. Oh, God, I had it and I've gotten rid of it. It was a letter from a priest. He was born up in an island off of Canada. Gee, I can't think of the name of it. He and his older sister and older brother were born up there, and they moved down to Flushing, New York, where they stayed. And he died there.
How did he die?
He just had a heart attack. He died in a bar and grill, but he was having supper.
What about your sister?
My sister was born in Brooklyn too, 1 year after me. I was born in 1918 and she was born in 1919.
So you're a year apart?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how was your life with your sister?
Wonderful. She was a wonderful sister. Wonderful sister.
And what about Frank in the war?
Frank? Well, Frank was in World War II. And he was wounded twice. And hospitalized. And then after the second hospitalization, he was let go. He was let come home. He was gone 2 years. That's it.
What was life like during the war with you?
What, during the war?
Yeah, like you at work.
It was very, let me see if I can explain it to you. It was very hectic. Because it was just a lot of women going out roller skating or to a movie with other women and working all day in the Federal Reserve Bank. And it was hard.
And So after the war, Frank, did you like put a surprise party for him?
What's that, darling?
Did you like make a surprise party for him?
Did he make a surprise?
No, like did you make a party for him when he came home from the war?
No.
Oh.
We packed up, he and I packed up immediately. I was living with my sister, sleeping on her couch,
Huh.
because my mother was with us too. And she slept with Kay, and I slept on the couch. And I went from Bayside to New York City every day to work on the railroad. And we were very active, but when it was just the three of us, so there was no sense in my going to a hotel and staying. But it was just in fact, what we used to do every Sunday, we'd go up and rent a bicycle, and her and I and a girlfriend, there was three of us, we rode a bicycle all over Bayside just for the fun of it, because it was something to do. And going to the movies. What else could I tell you?
Did you you know anything about the Depression?
The Depression?
Yeah.
You know, we weren't very wealthy people to begin with. All our families came from other countries and moved in here. And then when we were small, my mother worked to support us, my sister and I. And when we could, we went to work. And then we stayed working. I stayed working until I retired.
And where'd you work at? Where'd you work at?
Telephone mostly. Telephone, typewriting. I was in Federal Reserve Bank as a typist. I was in so many plants that I worked in, making bombshells in Ketchums. That was a big thing.
Wow.
We made the bombshells that were made in the factory on Atlantic Avenue, and they were processed. We had to measure them and go through the machine, make sure there wasn't a single sliver out of place. And then they'd go downstairs, and the boys downstairs would have to paint them and pack them, and they'd be sent away. Now, my husband worked there. That's how I met him. And he was sent out to, I think, Milwaukee, to a place that made bombs out there, because they were sending bombs and they weren't perfect. And he was sent out to inspect them. It was a very good job. It was nice. But I liked telephone operating. I was 21 years in Roosevelt High School.
Do you know anything about Ellis Island?
Ellis Island?
Like when all the people came to...
I was there.
Oh, you were?
I can remember Ellis Island. I didn't come in from Ellis Island.
Oh.
But I went back to see it.
So,
it's very creepy.
And can you tell me about Dad and like Aunt Linda, like when they were born?
Daddy and Linda? Well, their daddy, he was in the war. What war was he in? Was he in War II?
Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
He was gone for 2 years. And he was a letter carrier. And he started out, they landed them in, he told me the story, they landed him in Africa. his platoon was landed in Africa.